Welcome everyone, Christine here with a discussion about Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires Orion, also known as the strongest Legendary Lord in the game by far. You might think the Changeling is the strongest Legendary Lord, and he certainly does have a good amount of power, but Orion, who's trying to really roleplay as Mel Gibson, Orion is far more powerful than everyone else when you're playing him. As a Confederation option, he's not particularly great, though he does still certainly have his uses, even when you decide to Confederate him. But it's when you play Orion that things become pretty bloody crazy in a lot of ways in a campaign. And that's what I'm going to go over. Now, the first and most obvious benefit in Orion's case is that he gets the God King of Lorem. So he gets the Wild Hunt event, he gets a minus 8% upkeep benefit for his army for each active war, and a minus 4% upkeep benefit for all his other armies for each active war, and he has a 50% increased campaign movement range for all his armies using the World Route stance. So, upkeep aside for a second, consider the fact that all of Orion's armies can move faster on the campaign map through the world routes, which are already significant enough. So you can cover a huge amount of distance using the world routes in Orion's campaign. And as for the upkeep benefit, well, let's just say that you're a faction that can declare war on everyone around the planet, and it will make you far stronger. The reason this will make you far stronger is every declaration of war is going to boost your economy. And it gets to a point, like this is turn 22. I've got 10 armies, not full stacks, but 10 armies. My army upkeep is increased by 36%. And yet, I'm only paying close to 7,000. It didn't update there when I just declared the next war. It will take a turn to update, but it is going to update within, like once I click this enter button, I will get the money I should. So I'm only generating 10,000 gold, but I'm in a positive income at turn 22 with 10 freaking armies. Again, not full stacks, so it doesn't matter if I get full stacks for resources, because I'm looking at unit recruitment. The unit recruitment is fucking pathetic. In fact, some units that I could recruit are zero cost in terms of upkeep. This is mental. The reason this is mental is because Wood Elves are not designed around this. Wood Elves are designed around having armies that require actual upkeep. When your upkeep on your secondary, tertiary, whatever army you want to talk about, when the upkeep over there is something like in the number of hundreds as opposed to thousands, for a faction that's clearly designed around the idea of actually having upkeep in like 2,000, 3,000 range, you completely break the freaking game. This is why I say Orion is stronger than the Changeling. The Changeling can get a great amount of power, but the Changeling cannot quite mass 10 freaking armies in his campaign with almost 0% upkeep, while not really giving a shit about much of a economy. Now, I do have most of Lorem in my campaign over here, but it's not like Lorem is generating a huge amount of money, because, well, if you want to grow the trees, you're going to need surplus points, so it's going to take some time for you to build that during the course of a campaign. Now, this is crazy when you consider like the other thing that the Wood Elves do have. So, Wood Elf units, when we're talking about Wood Elf units, at tier 1, basic Blade Guard are flat out one of the best tier 1 units in the entire game, alongside things like Jade Warriors. Though I would rather take an army of Blade Guard versus Jade Warriors, they would win hands out. And then you've got, obviously, variants that you can get from barracks. You don't need a barracks for Glade Guard. You just need a tree. A barracks is used to recruit Glade Guard with Hagbane tips, and once you get the Astrite Forge, you can get with Starfire Shafts. So you can get a unit that has a huge amount of armor piercing at tier 1 with magical attacks and flaming attacks as well, assuming you spend that surplus point in order to get it. That is fucking crazy. But what makes Orion really crazy is something you can get in 5 turns, and all Wood Elves can get in 5 turns. The Wisdom of the Eagle Lord. So what the Wisdom of the Eagle Lords will do, in every Wood Elf campaign, but this is particularly relevant to Orion, it will give you vision over the surrounding area next to all of the trees, all the special forests that do exist on the map. This is where things get completely and utterly broken in a campaign, because with that vision, you can go to various factions, for instance, over here, declare war on these factions, and end up in a lot of wars that will not affect you in a campaign in any way, shape, or form, but you're still going to end up in that kind of situation where you have that huge upkeep benefit in your campaign. Now, Orion kind of is crap in a lot of ways, and his campaign start is pretty miserable because he starts over with Paravan, who have a tier 3 provincial capital from the very beginning, so his initial battles are miserable. But it doesn't matter how his initial battles are miserable. This guy's going to be rolling in more cash than you'll have the ability to spend. Like, quite literally, I'm at a point right here. Oh, do I need to recruit another army and start recruiting more units? Do I do that? Or is 10 armies enough? Let's make it 20. Let's put it 30. Yes, the upkeep benefit does diminish the more armies you have because you still have supply lines chipping away at it. But let me be blunt about it. You can have 30 fucking stacks with this guy, and only then will you be paying the same kind of level of upkeep that every other Wood Elf Lord would be paying in a campaign. So once my armies are like at 2,000 upkeep, that's the kind of the point where you can't stop. The point would probably be around 20 armies worth, though you can always declare more wars against more factions around the planet, including like minor factions that don't have any particular relevance. So, you know, oh, let me declare war on Azazel. I'm not even going to get my vassals involved or anything like that. You can do so, and your upkeep is going to rise. This is freaking, like over here, right? I just declared another war. Let's find another victim in this particular campaign and declare another war, and I just broke the game. Like, literally. You can see what the difference it is. So, like, I am only paying 500 in an upkeep, in terms of upkeep, and I can maintain these full armies at full stacks. The only limiting factor is actually being able to recruit all these units, because Wood Elves, yes, they have global recruitment, they have local recruitment, but their local recruitment pretty much sucks, because it's unlimited too, initially. In Orion's starting position, it will take some time for you to get any kind of amber in Orion's campaign. But geez, the level of power in this campaign is immeasurable compared to everyone else. And we're not done there. Oh, you think it's just the upkeep benefit that makes Orion so powerful? Or the campaign movement range? No. That is the most obvious and the most powerful benefit, of course, but it doesn't end there. Orion also gets the Hunter's Gather, which reduces construction cost and crucially construction time for all military recruitment buildings in a campaign, and it also improves his local recruitment capacity. His basic units are very strong, and he gets even stronger ones because he can get them faster in a campaign. Also, the Wood Elves don't really care about the growth system in their campaigns. So yeah, this guy is freaking mental. It doesn't stop there either. Finally, he gets the Wild Hunt. Now, crazy freaking thing about the Wild Hunt is he gets a -10 cooldown for Deep Roots. So basically, what I'm saying here is Orion has the most amount of campaign mobility of any legendary lord in the game. Sure, he's limited to the trees, so is the Changeling limited to the rifts, but just the fact that you can teleport armies around. Oh, one of his armies in his corner? Just teleport it out, no problem, right? Oh, you want to go in and just beat up someone because they're a nuisance? Like, oh, should I just show up and beat the shit out of Manfred and there's very little Manfred can do? I can do so. That is biblical level of power. He can confederate all the other legendary lords because of his movement range, his huge upkeep benefit, the sheer amount of armies he can maintain. He will be able to do so. The only thing I'm struggling with to do right here is confederating like Durfu, because I need to beat up some dwarves. So you can always use diplomatic confederation if you so desire. It is far more viable. And then, fight some battles against the Scave. And it's like, and then you end up confederating everyone except Draika, and you end up being even more powerful. I mean, Draika is kind of not worth confederating, because while she's certainly powerful when you play her, she's not necessarily as great. Besides, she's gotten wiped out by Vlad over here. Try to help her. Didn't work out, besides the diplomacy downside from the Confederation, which is kind of weird because it doesn't stop you from Confederation. It's just like a negative you're going to constantly have. This is a vanilla campaign, by the way. I haven't faced any freaking rebellion in this. And yes, I do have the difficulty level modifier. Absurdity abounds in this campaign, and it's like a game-breaking campaign. The game is not equipped, designed to handle this level of absurdity. Now, even so, would I play Orion's campaign? Probably not. I don't like his campaign dynamic. It's really boring. Just like you spend the early game until you start recruiting Treekin, just recruiting a bunch of Blade Guard and Deepwood Watchers, but then Deepwood Scouts, and then once you've got the Treekin in your campaign, you just constantly recruit Treekin, and you never ever stop in a campaign with recruiting Treekin, and you are the endgame crisis. The endgame crisis, it's like, oh, it's like 6-7 armies. It's like, I'll bring 30 armies. I'll invade Hashut's realm and wipe it out in a single turn with Orion. That's the level of power that he has. By the way, fun thing, set the endgame crisis in the early game to spawn as quickly as possible, and use the Chaos Dwarf portals to teleport around the map, because yeah, there's some crazy level of power there, and it combines very well with Orion. Also, those lovely melee benefits he gets with the Wild Hunt, those actually make his Treekin quite a bit more powerful than you might believe. I mean, sure, Durfu and Draika have far better Treekin, but hey, melee attack is really nice to have. What can I say? That is Orion in a nutshell. A powerhouse of a legendary lord. He is a legendary lord for one of the strongest races in the game, so he would be S tier just by default with that, even if he had literally no faction effects. You add in those faction effects, this guy is like, he's not on the same planet or universe as everyone else. The only guy who can even compete with him is the Changeling, and the Changeling doesn't have free armies. With Orion, you are playing a faction that has free armies for a race that isn't balanced, designed, or in any way, shape, or form built around that. The Wood Elves are supposed to have very powerful individual armies, but they're supposed to be limited because of economic considerations. Orion doesn't care. Then you add in the Deep Roots benefit, it's like, no one can stop you. Like, you declare war on the world, and it makes you stronger. That's insane. Like, I'm sorry, that is insane. Declaring war on the world should not be like I win button, not for Orion. Now, I don't quite go to that crazy level. I actually play diplomacy in Orion's campaign, so I am actually going to end up weaker for it, but all the same, pretty freaking crazy when you consider everything this guy can do during the course of his bloody campaign and his madness. Sheer freaking madness. Costin here, signing out. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Happy New Year, everyone.